Hi anybody, this is going to be a bit of a different video than what we're used to, but I'm going to try and do a Christmas break season analysis on the Leafs. I might do one at the trade deadline as well, and maybe one at the halfway point of the season. But let's get into this. This is going to be a one-taker, mistakes and all. Let's go. Let's start with the preseason. The Leafs were coming into this season, they were the President's Trophy favorite, meaning that they were going to win the entire league. They were going to be first place overall. They were going to be the team to beat going into the playoffs. Now, the President's Trophy, it's a coveted trophy for sure, just to say that you were the league leading in points. But winning the President's Trophy has never really consistently converted into winning the cup. So teams that win the President's Trophy don't necessarily go on to win the cup. It's not that likely to happen. So the Leafs not winning the President's Trophy wouldn't be the worst, but it'd be nice to have that, say you were the best team in the league all year. You just hopefully can able to convert that into the playoffs and bring home the Stanley Cup alongside it. But the preseason was looking really good. Leafs were coming out really hot. Dennis Malgin, Calle Jarnkrok, these were guys that were new into the lineup, newish for Malgin, but they were scoring at a good pace. Like, I think they got 4 or 5 goals each in the preseason, but it just didn't convert into the regular season. Almost as soon as the regular season stopped, production from these guys slowed down. Jarnkrok has been a bit more consistent, which is why he's still on the team. Malgin, not so much. But it's been one of those things where you see this flash at the beginning of the season and you want it to continue into the rest of the season, and it just didn't seem to. But let's get into the season. First game against Montreal, Leafs had come out, I think they were 4-1 in the preseason, and they come out against Montreal in that first game. We're thinking they're going to hand it to them, take that game easily. Matt Murray gets hurt first game. He's our big pickup, star goalie. Was a bit injured in his last couple seasons with Ottawa. But the Leafs took a chance on him, and he gets injured first game. So it's not looking great. But he's got 2 Stanley Cup rings already, so we're willing to give him the chance. He goes out for about a month, and the Leafs just have a terrible October. Källgren and Samsonov basically take over the net, and it just wasn't a great start to the season. In October, they played 10 games. They were 4-6, under 500. At the end of October, the Leafs did their California swing, which is where they go down and play 3 teams in California. They lost all 3 games, and those California teams are not good this season. They should have won all 3. They lost all 3. And the media was rumoring that Keefe might lose his job if this doesn't turn around. Well, guess what happens? November comes around. They play 15 games. They go 12-3. They just kick the pants off of everybody in November. Samsonov does get hurt into the second game in November, so now we're down Murray and Samsonov. Brad Marchand, they're playing the Boston Bruins. He gets he gets a penalty shot, and he comes in, dekes the pants off Samsonov, and Samsonov, the way he leaned back, he kind of stretches his knee out, and he gets a knee injury. Second game into November. It's okay. Källgren stands tall for most of November, and, the Leafs just play really, really defensively, and it was a good month to bring them back into the standings because they were starting to dip pretty bad. We had some more, I would say, emotional things go on in November as well. Borje Salming, a Leafs legend, he was diagnosed with ALS a while ago, and they had a very nice ceremony for him, honoring him as a Leaf. And then during that game, Sheldon Keefe, head coach, has the ability, because he has 5 players that have Swedish backgrounds, to start an all-Swedish lineup in respect of Borje Salming on that night where they had the ceremony. So that was really cool to see Keefe give his own little nod to Borje Salming in respect. And then just a couple days later, on November 24th, rest in peace, Borje Salming passes away. That's when the Leafs got the little Swedish crown patch on the shoulder. And I hope that they would have kept it throughout the entire season, but I think they took it off about a week later. Nonetheless, very respectable. Rest in peace to Borje Salming, and mourning to all his family members. He was a Leafs legend. He will be missed for sure. But in November, hard right turn. 15 game with a point streak the Leafs get going on, and that bleeds into December. So this November was amazing, bleeding into this December, and December was pretty good as well. They played 9 games so far coming into this Christmas break. They're 6-3. They get 3 shutouts, 2 back-to-back, and then another one, 7-0 win over Anaheim, which is one of those California teams that they should have beat in that previous California trip. And all this being done with a defense core that is basically in shambles. Like, we're missing Jake Muzzin. He's not coming back for the rest of the season. Morgan Rielly goes down with a knee injury. TJ Brody goes out with, it wasn't a doctor, that was Murray's. Whatever Tavares was out with at the beginning of the season. TJ Brody gets the same injury. So we're down our 3 biggest, heaviest, best playing defensemen, and our defense and our forward just really get into a structure, and they really hold down the fort. The forwards really play defensively while still scoring goals when they get the chances. But this 15 game with a point streak, that was awesome run for them to go on. And then Marner, little streak of his own. This kid gets a 23 straight game with a point streak going. 23 games. The record was 18, held by Daryl Sittler and Eddie Olchuk. Marner ties them at 18, then he passes them at 19, and then he ends his streak at 23 games straight with a point. Congrats to him. That's an amazing feat. I said it at the time it was happening. A franchise that's over 100 years old. You would think that that streak would have been a little longer. Now it is, but it took over 100 years to get over 20 games straight with a point for a player. Congrats to Marner. That was a wicked streak. He ended up losing it against a game in New York. But overall, December, really good as well. Teams playing really good. We got a nice couple-day break here. Oh, Sandin just went down, which is another defenseman, right before the break. So not sure what the lineup's really going to look like when we come out of this break here. With the Christmas break, too, there's also a roster freeze. So no trades, no waivers, nothing can happen. What's your roster when you stop playing? I think it was the 23rd or 24th is your roster until into next week. So there won't be any trades happening, but I'm just saying with the injuries, I'm not 100% sure what the lineup's going to look like. Let's take some looks at some of the individual players here, because some guys are looking really good, some guys are not looking so great. So Auston Matthews, our best scorer on the team by far, is having a little bit of a down season. This time I think he was around the 22-23 goal mark. He's got 17 right now. It doesn't seem like it's a huge difference, but 5-6 goals is huge when you're in that scoring race to try and get that Rocket Richard trophy at the end of the year. He ended up winning it last year. So he's got to make a real push for this 2 second thirds, I guess, of the season remaining here. He's really got to push to get those goal totals up and try and, get back into the leaderboard there. Marner, we talked about, he is on fire. That kid is leading the team right now with points. He's got 40 points, 13 goals, 27 assists. And, yeah, he is just on fire right now. I guess Matthews is second in points at 39, but most of his are assists. And then William Nylander. Everyone's talking about we need to trade him. He's gonna play himself out of Toronto, which I believe he will do. If he keeps scoring at the caliber he is this year and next, if they don't re-sign him at the beginning of July 1st next year, they're going to have a hard time keeping him on the roster. Hopefully he can take somewhat of a team-friendly discount, but I don't see it happening. I think he will play himself out of Toronto. That's something to worry about at a maximum of a year and a half from now, so I won't get too into it, but I do think that the way he's playing, he will not be a Leaf for too much longer if he keeps it up. But he's got 20 goals at this Christmas break point in the season. He is in the top 10 right now of the NHL in goals. He's tied with a couple guys for 20 goals. But man, he is having an amazing season. Hopefully he can keep this up. John Tavares, he's also another one. He started red hot when the season began. He is starting to slow down a bit, but he's one of the older guys too, so he's kind of expected to slow down a bit. It wasn't even expected he'd have the start to the season that he would. But man, what a guy he's become in this lineup. The captain of the team. He is so reliable. Not the fastest, fleet of foot, but man, when he gets in position, you can almost guarantee it's going in. And then looks like Michael Bunting is in 5th on the team with points at 24. And that is just going to show how top-heavy this team is. So your top 2 lines, you got 6 players. Well, right now we got 5 of those 6 players as the top points getter for us, which is fine and good. But at the same time, there's not many points coming from the rest of the team, realistically. That second line left wing needs to be filled with someone. Maybe Patrick Kane. That'd be cool. But 6th on the team in points is Morgan Rielly. And he's been injured for like 2 weeks, and he has 0 goals for the season. He's got 16 assists, 16 points. Somebody else on the team should be passing him. He's been out for a while, and just no one else seems to want to grab these points and move themselves up in the standings. Like, after Rielly, it's Kerfoot, which is scary. He's only got 4 goals. Sandin, he's out again. But again, most of these guys are just getting assists for the big 5 that are scoring up front. They've been winning games this way, so it's not the end of the world, but they do need to find some depth scoring, especially in the playoffs when these top guys are going to try to be shut down by the other team. That bottom 6 really needs to start putting pucks in the net and getting some big points for this team. Sandin has been really good coming up. He was, he kind of held out with his contract at the beginning of the year. He thought he was worth more than what Dubas was offering him, and he was wrong because he signed the exact same contract that Dubas had offered for him in the start of the season. He decided to hold out, tried to do the William Nylander thing and get a bunch more money. Didn't work out for him, though. Dubas stuck to his guns and basically said, I'm not signing you to anything more. You either take this contract or you don't play. And once all the injuries on the defense started happening is finally when he decided to sign that contract. I just wish he would have signed it right away, got into training camp, got a good start to the season. He really struggled at the beginning of the season here, but he is starting to find his footing, which is good. He is 8th on the team right now in points at 14, so pretty much all the other defensemen he's passed in points. So it's good that he's finally showed up. And then, David Kampf, which is our third-line center, he's next in line at 9th with 13 points, and then Engvall with 11 points rounds out the top 10 in points. Not looking great for the Leafs points-wise, individually for players other than those top 5. Wouldn't even surprise me if Engvall maybe gets traded here at the second half of the season. He's just really not putting much in. I don't know. We'll see. Points-wise, though, Willie, Austin, Marner, Tavares, those guys are really holding the fort down for us and really getting these wins for us, basically. Let's see. We'll move on here. This team kind of needed this break coming into the Christmas break here. They were on that 15-game heater with a point, and then they started losing a couple games. And I thought they were going to lose the game to the Lightning right before the break here. But they held on. They pushed through that one. They actually dominated that one. They held on in Philly is what happened for that next generation game, but they dominated the Lightning. So I think this break will be good to let everybody heal up a bit, maybe get another defenseman back or something into the lineup. We'll see how this goes. Sheldon has been doing really good in his job. Like, there's no way he's getting fired this year. Not a chance, even after that whole October shabacle. Kyle Dubas. There's a thing floating around here where Dubas doesn't have a contract right now. That's not floating around. That's true. He does not have a contract. But what's been floating around is that maybe they're not going to re-sign him, or maybe he's not going to sign another extension here. And I think all of that is just smoke in the air. Dubas is going to sign another contract. In fact, he probably already has a contract on his desk from Brendan Shanahan, just saying sign on the dotted line. And I'm sure he's going to sign on the dotted line. I think they're just waiting for the end of the season to see how the playoffs go. The whole thing is, they haven't gotten out of the first round, so we're not going to give this guy an extension until we know what's going on here. Honestly, I think the extension is they're waiting, and I think they're just waiting to announce that it's signed till after this season and just let everybody take some deep breaths, get through this section of the playoffs, and then the contract will get signed for Dubas. I really don't see him going anywhere else. The Leafs can pay him whatever he wants, basically, unless he wants to go and rebuild the, struggling Arizona Coyotes or something. I really don't see that. I think he's staying a Leaf, and I think the contract is just waiting to be signed till the end of the year. So Dubas shouldn't be going anywhere. I really don't think so. After this break, though, once the roster freeze lifts, the Leafs need to do a couple things. They need a second-line left winger badly. They have had a revolving door of players through that second-line left wing position. Kerfoot's been up there. I think Engvall was thrown up there for a game. Järnkrok kind of took a hold of the position but then got injured. Nick Robertson's been there. Dennis Malgin was there. Like, literally, just guy after guy after guy has been tried at that second-line left wing. And I'm very surprised that not one of them has been able to hold their position there, because you're playing with John Tavares and Mitch Marner. Like, those two run the line. Anyone that's plugged in should just automatically get more points than they would if they were on the third or fourth line. But no one's really seemed to take a hold of that position and keep it as their own position. Järnkrok just came back from injury a couple days before the break here. He's looking good. I believe he scored. But he might be the one to hold the position for now. We'll see if he can keep it up after the break. Maybe they don't need to get another second-line left winger, but I really think they should. Patrick Kane has been the big name thrown out there. That would be amazing if they could trade even Kerfoot, get Chicago to retain half. I think I saw one where, another prospect was added in there as well. Patrick Kane would just change the entire dynamic of that top six, and it would just be a carnival watching those six players try and one-up each other in the points column and the goals column and the assist column. That would be so fun to watch. Patrick Kane to the Leafs, please let it happen. Even a third team comes and retains some salary as well. I don't care what they do to get him. That would be amazing. There are some other kind of smaller names, I guess, that have been floated out there, but I just think Patrick Kane would be the most impactful player and probably the one that's going to help them get to the promised land of the second round and the third and maybe the fourth. That guy's got 2 cup rings already on his fingers, so him and Matt Murray, just the mentality of that, and they know they can go for it with this team. Oh, that would be fun to watch. That would be real fun to watch. They also need a top 4D, though, as well. And even myself, I don't know how they're going to go out and get both. I have a feeling they're going to get one big name and one small name. Small name could be literally anybody. Kyle Dubas surprises everyone with his trades. It's never the guy you're thinking of. But if he could finally go and get the one guy everyone's been thinking of in Kane, and even get another defenseman that's maybe not as big as Kane, but, plays defensively, maybe a big dude that'll throw some checks. That'd be nice. But I can see Kyle Dubas getting one big name this year, maybe, and then one smaller name. The defense has been playing really well, and that is, what's the word I'm looking for? Deceitful, because yes, the defense is playing really well, but this is regular season hockey. This is not playoff hockey. And even if it was Riley, Brody, I don't know, I guess Giordano and Hall as your top four, even Giordano, or even if we went Riley, Brody, Sandin, Liljegren, doesn't matter what four names you throw in there, it's not top 4D playoff caliber players on that lineup. They do need someone else. Connor Timmins came in. He's been playing really solidly, but again, Connor Timmins is not your big pickup defenseman for getting into the playoffs and getting through the playoffs. Like, the playoffs is a grind, and you're going to get injuries in the playoffs. Everybody plays harder in the playoffs. You're going to lose guys. So, okay, we go into the playoffs with those four as your top D, and then Riley and Brody go down again. They're euchred. Like, there's no way they're coming out of that one winning that series. So they need another big D. They need another big second line left winger. Now, that being said, Matthew Knies is playing with the university team right now, and maybe he's your second line left wing. But the kid's only 19 years old. I really don't see him coming in and being the guy that's going to really push them through the playoffs. Like, if Matthews and Marner and Tavares and Willie can't push them through the playoffs, what's Matthew Knies going to come in and do? Like, he's playing with a university team. I think he's 19 years old. Like, he's not going to be that dude that comes in and motivates those big five players to play harder or better. That's where a Patrick Kane coming in, yeah, you would listen to Patrick Kane with 2 rings on his fingers telling you that we got to step it up and we got to play better, guys. Like, but Matthew Knies coming in, you're not listening to this 19-year-old university kid. He'll be a good depth option. I think he'll fit really well into maybe the third or the fourth line to try and get some sneaky goals in there, but we'll see. Hopefully he can provide some sort of oomph to the team. Recently, Malgin got traded for Dryden Hunt and the Colorado Avalanche, and that was just to get rid of some cap space, I think. Dryden Hunt makes a little less than Malgin did. Not much, but a little bit. Dryden Hunt's just like a fourth-line enforcer, I've heard him being described as. So not really what we need up front there in the second-line left wing. But when you have 0 cap space left and only 1 roster slot left for your team, it's kind of hard to make big moves like this. So we'll see what they can do in the future. Some players that you like could be traded away. Not the big 5, but some of those depth players could be traded away to get some other big names to come in here. They got a lot of cap shenaniganery to pull off here if they're going to get a roster that is playoff ready and willing to get them through that first round. They've been doing really well up until now. They just got to transition that into the playoffs. I think they can do it. I think this will be the year that they get through the first round, even if they're playing Tampa again. Tampa's not looking the same. The only thing that scares me with Tampa is Vasilevsky, especially if they go into a Game 7. He shut them out last year. There is no way they're going to get through a red-hot Vasilevsky on the other side of the pipes. So hopefully they can, get through the season, get better in the standings, maybe take that top spot in the Atlantic from Boston, get home ice advantage throughout the playoffs, and maybe face a team that's not Boston or Tampa in the first round. And maybe they'll face them in the second round. Right now, though, Leafs are 4th overall in the league. So that is pretty good for the Leafs to be that high up in the standings right now. They're 3rd in their conference, so it's Boston, Carolina, Toronto. And they've only got 8 points to go on Boston, but Boston is 1 game in hand, so that's basically 10 points. But they can do it. They can pull this off. It's more or less if Boston continues to keep just winning every single game they play. Like, they've played 33 games. They've won 27 of them. That's nuts. They gotta slow down a little bit. So once they start to slow down, maybe the Leafs can pick it up or continue a streak going again. Another nice 15 game with a point streak would be nice. But they're doing pretty well. They've played 34 games themselves. They are 21-7-6 with 48 points going into the Christmas break. Roster's frozen. We'll see what they can do when they come out of it. They got a game next Tuesday. So we'll see what they can do. I think the Leafs are going to get through the first round, like I said. I have high hopes this year. I'm really, really excited for what Dubas is going to do in the second half of the season up until the trade deadline. And I honestly hope he doesn't wait until the trade deadline and he gets some bigger names a little bit before that. I know the longer you wait, the less cap it eats up, but the quicker you make these trades, the quicker these guys get accustomed to your systems and get more familiar with your players, build chemistry with their line mates. So the quicker they can get a big name in here and get these guys rolling, it'll be the better. So I'm hoping everybody enjoyed this video. I'm going to try and make a couple more. Have fun watching the rest of the season, everybody. Go Leafs, go!